genre really divides people. It divides artists, it divides consumers, and the reason for genre, if I picture like why it started, it most likely started for like all the wrong reasons. In other words, I don't think it actually had any roots in making it easier for a consumer to find stuff they like. I don't think that's what it is because there's too many nuances within genres for that to be the case. And also some people will like, something in a particular genre because of a certain element in it. In other words, you might not like heavy metal, but if you ever, but if you like a girl singing heavy metal with where the heavy metal is played in a slow tempo, it doesn't sound like heavy metal to you, just for argument's sake. So you're like, oh, this is cool. I like this. So no matter what we think about when we think of genre, what keeps hitting me is like that's how they decided to separate between white artists and black artists back in the day. That's what they did because they called all the black artists R&B and they called the white artists pop. And they're like, this is perfect. That's how we can separate it. Now, that's like the evolution of that is sort of how we got into this thing where we now have all these, genres that are basically just boxes that artists wind up putting themselves in that become chains to keep you doing the same kind of thing. And the reason I say this is because it's not a rare case that an artist will write a bunch of songs that sound a certain way, and then slightly outside of that, they have this one-off song that's very different. And very often that one-off song is different not only in the way it sounds, the style, the genre, not only that, it's different because the emotion that the artist put into it is different. And that's because it was exciting to them because it was new. You can't deny the fact that doing the same thing over and over and over again, no matter how much you love it, it definitely has a tendency to take its toll. If you loved a particular food and you ate it every day, you'd get bored of it. If you worked out the exact same way, the same exact workouts constantly, you were only sore for the first couple times, and after that, you weren't even sore probably. It started to your tolerance for the exercises decided to creep up because your body's now used to doing it, and you really got to mix up the workouts or do other things too, just to get the same kind of endorphins going and just to bring the excitement back to what you were doing. It gets monotonous, it gets boring. You don't put the same kind of energy into it. So what I'm saying is it because that people associate more with that weird one-off track that the one-off track winds up doing so well for so many artists? Or is it because of everything that went into making it, because it was different, because they had to kind of decide to allow for a change within themselves when they recorded it? Because that's the big thing that always holds back people from doing things outside of the genre they're comfortable in or the style they're comfortable with. It's even worse in a band situation because in a band, it's like, no, our band does this kind of thing. And, if we do this kind of music, I can't wear my leather jacket or whatever it is. You get what I'm saying? There's always something where they look in the mirror and they decide that their haircut and the way that, and their shoes and their jeans, none of this aligns with the new genre. It doesn't work with this song. So we can't do that kind of music, or even worse, they'll, for some reason, feel like it's some blow to their ego to change. What they should realize, and it's been proven many times by so many different bands, is that a lot of times, if you're not already an extremely top level successful artist, killing it, if you're not there, why not change? Like, what's the downside? I'm trying to understand what people think the downside is, other than this blow to their ego or the idea that they must become now. They must shatter their identity of who they think they are to do this other thing. Because it doesn't even have to be on that level. You could just be an artist making art for yourself and you like something different also, and you want to actually put that down, but maybe you don't because you're worried about the audience. No great artists cared about what the audience thought. The audience comes last. Rick Rubin, Josh Homme, or Hame. I never know how to pronounce his name, but the guy from Queens of the Stone Age, I love that dude. I think it's Home. maybe it's Ame. Maybe it's Ame. I don't know. Somebody tell me in the comments. But the point is, I love Queens of the Stone Age. First album, Rated R. I think that was their first album. But the song Autopilot is still to this day one of my absolute favorite songs. It has Bowie vibes, and they have a way to morph into different sounds as they go through what they do. And they're a super unique band. And the way he kind of found the sound that he likes to do for whatever particular song or whatever, that's just him. He's not caring at all about what the audience is going to like. The same with Prince, same with David Bowie. Why are these guys able to kind of be genreless artists and kind of do whatever it is that they want to do? Like, that's what they're doing. They're just living for them. They're living for them. Now, when I think about bands that had this breakout weird change thing that really worked for them, one of the big ones that comes to mind, because I've been watching a lot of Eric Valentine stuff recently, was obviously Smash Mouth. Smash Mouth had a whole album of punk ska tracks and Walking on the Sun, like Never the Twain Shall Meet. Group of tracks that had nothing to do with the way Walking on the Sun sounds, that kind of homage to 60s coolness. And, Walking on the Sun was that. Everything else is this punk ska kind of California sound, Bay Area stuff. And they basically found huge amounts of success with Walking on the Sun. And that album is the most returned album. It's also one of the most purchased albums. They sold tons of copies, and tons of people returned it because they realized there's nothing else on that album that's anything like that song. So this isn't business class. I'm not telling you how you should sell an album. And I don't think today anybody could really tell you that this is how you're going to sell an album. But also, that band had the balls to follow the word of somebody who they basically played all the tracks for Eric Valentine. And Eric's like, that's a great song. I want to do that one. We have to do that one. So the producer came in so handy for so many bands, being like, no, you can't discard that. There's something magical there, because that producer, even though they get to know the band, they're part of the crew, like in terms of understanding what they're about, they're also judging a song by its potential as a song. They're not judging it by, can you wear the same pants because you do this song? The same leather jacket, is it going to work? It's not going to, it's going to clash. They don't think about it that way. They're looking at it like, this is a great song. It stands on its own, so we need to record it. Rick Rubin with Under the Bridge. I don't need to say any more about that. This happens so many times, and bands, even once they're successful, have a tendency to want to do this thing because it's natural, it's human to want to evolve. And don't put yourself in a position where you won't let yourself. Try the crazy thing. Radiohead Kid A comes to mind. An amazing album. And people love it like years later, but at the time, people really were like, what is this? This is crazy. So what happened? Like, why is it so electronic? And later, everyone's like, it's one of the best albums of all time. Because nobody knows what they like. They catch up over time, or they don't, and none of it's relevant to Tom York, who's making the art that he wants to make. So when it comes down to it, right, the point is everyone should make the best thing they can make, explore all the crazy ideas that they may have. Never think of yourself as within a genre, because those genre boxes were put there by people other than the artists. I guarantee you no artist was like, I want to be in my own section of the record store. Nobody ever said that. That's the higher ups in the white collars and the ties and the suits, trying to figure out how to sell more records. Because if people wander in this section, they're going to be scared. So we can't let them wander in that section. It's the craziest reasoning for me for like why genres exist. And I've never shopped by genre. Have you ever been like, let's go into this section and find out, what is that? You just buy what you want to buy. Like, you usually know what that's going to be way before you buy it. Or in today's world, stream it, but it's like, I can't help but think about this kind of thing. So, we like what we like because it sounds a way that we associate with, that we like. That's really all it is. So do the thing that's weird. You never know where it may take you, is kind of what I'm saying. And this kind of Led Zeppelin with was it like Bron Yar Stomp? is like a totally acoustic sounding Zeppelin track. Stairway to Heaven starts with just an acoustic and a vocal, a very big departure from like their like typical kind of sound they had, on like Good Times, Bad Times or something like that. So bands would do this and people would accept it, but because the songs would be great. Like, it has nothing to do with staying within a box. Metallica changed their sound from the first album to the later album. Do plenty of Metallica fans think everything after the first one sucks? Yes. Who cares? Nobody cares except for the people who get to cry about it. They're not relevant, right? So it's happened so often. Stone Temple Pilots, one of my favorite bands, so I got to throw them out there. Sour Girl sounds nothing like a lot of the other, like, it's just a very kind of vocal departure, smoother, kind of softer vocals. I don't think he uses his rasp. Scott's amazing rasp, I don't think he even uses it in that track at all. But, it has that amazing Stone Temple Pilots flavor, but nobody's scared to do different things. Everyone's just like, great song, we'll do it. They're judging the quality of the song. So if you don't have the producer over your shoulder telling you, hey, don't throw that one away, I'm going to tell it to you. Don't throw that one away. Focus on the weird ones. Pull those out of your catalog, the ones that are different, that you're not sure if you should record, that you're worried about how people might see you if you record it that way. Yes, lean into those. Find those. All right? Any others I forgot, throw on there, because throw on there, whether it's a producer who caused the band to do a different thing, like Bob Rock really helped Metallica kind of flush out the Black Album and make it what it was, or if it's the artists themselves who just decided to go in a new direction, throw it out there. I'm curious what you guys have to say, because I love to learn about this stuff too. There's so many. Everlast, House of Pain just hit me like a Mack truck just now. Jump Around's a great song. Everybody loves Jump Around. It's an amazing sample, great song. When he did, then you really might know what it's like. When he did that song blew up. And it's a great song if it's not oversaturated like it was. Like, we heard it a million times, so now nobody likes it. But if I heard that song about half as many times, I'd probably love it. But today, I'd listen to it once or twice, but that's about it, because I've had my fill of that song over time. But that was just because it was saturating the market like crazy. I don't think that video ever came off the air. But anyway, I want to hear what you guys have to say. Like, subscribe, hit the button. Remember, pull the good stuff out, the weird stuff. Get in that. That's what we want to hear. That's what everybody wants to hear. And I'm talking about you, the artists. You want to hear it too, because that's why you wrote it. So make it, put it out. All right? Evan Jaffe, Custom Cut Studios. You guys got this. Take it easy.